us. He will definitely protect his devotees. He's shown that. So I don't know what to talk about. I guess what I can do is ask, what do people want to hear about? Like about Prabhupada, about the early days, about... I can tell you the first time he introduced the Nishinga mantra, and that was while he was having a heart attack in 1967. Before that, he hadn't introduced the mantra yet, but when we first went to New York from Frisco, San Francisco, the project that he gave us to do was a 26 painting series of the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nrsingadev. It was later printed as a children's book back in 1970 or something. I don't even know if it's still around. I mean, I have a copy, but I don't know if anybody else does. And so Srila Prabhupada he was speaking of that. He was speaking on that canto, because I guess he was translating that canto early in the morning. And every day he would come in, and he had his little apartment in New York was about the size of 1/3 of this temple room, maybe from where you're sitting. Each room was just like tiny. And we worked in the one little tiny room, and he worked in the other tiny little room. We being the artists, me, my husband Gaurasundar, and Jadharani. And Srila Prabhupada would come in, and he would pose for us. And I didn't understand. I was a brand new devotee, only 2 months. I didn't really understand that he was absorbed in Nrsinga Leela. I didn't know this. I just know that every day he would come in and tell us the story. He'd raise his arms like claws. You could see the white of his eyes, and he would roar and describe how Lord Nrsingadev leapt out of the pillar. But I was a brand new devotee, so I mean, I found it fascinating, but I didn't know that he was absorbed in that Leela. I had no idea. Because we were very young and very new. We had only come, actually we were seniors in college, but we went to San Francisco in search of the truth, in search of a guru, in search of something besides the insanity that we were experiencing in our college education. And interestingly enough, at that time, the first incident of violence took place in America. It was in 1966, where somebody climbed a university tower and started shooting everybody. That had never happened before. Now it happens every day. You know, it's just an everyday thing now. But now, back then, it was shocking. And I was driving to class, and I was running late to my class, when the cops stopped me, and they had a barricade. And I said, "You're going to make me late for class." And he said, "You see that guy up on the tower shooting people? I let you get any closer, you'll be in range." So that was kind of how we started our grand disillusionment. I think it was already there, but that really pushed it over the edge. And so we left in our senior year, in the middle of the semester, which of course upset our parents quite a bit. On Thanksgiving Day, we drove to San Francisco. You know, you have to understand, there were no temples. There were no books. There was no information that Prabhupada was coming to San Francisco. This is all mystical. None of it makes a bit of sense unless you believe that Krishna is the miracle worker and knows what everything that's going on in the creation. But other than that, I just try to conceive of a time, which is hard for you youngsters, I know, to conceive of when there's no temples. There wasn't a temple in San Francisco yet. It was just about to get started. There was one little tiny storefront in New York, the 26th 2nd Avenue, but we didn't know about that. And so we drove from Texas to California in November late November, the last few days of November. Prabhupada came to San Francisco in January, and we met him in January. So that means we were wandering around looking for only about a month and a half, and that was the beginning. And we were with him ever since. I mean, why would anybody leave? It's like, he was so wonderful, is so wonderful. So every day he would come in, and he posed for Hiranyakashipu with his arms up, because try to understand, we didn't have any connection with India. We didn't have beads. The beads that we had, oh my God, they were these big wooden beads that you could slug somebody and knock them out with them. They're like big, heavy wooden beads. That's what we were initiated with. There were no such things, Tulsi beads yet. There was no such thing as saris or anything. There was just nothing. And we had no idea where we were going, why we were going, or what we were going to find. So you can only conclude that it's Krishna's arrangement. So we met him. The way we met him, actually, my soon-to-husband-to-be, he was my boyfriend at the time, we left college together, and then Prabhupada married us after we met him, and Gorsindar, his name, he brought a flyer home, a piece of paper that said, "Stay high forever, the Swami is coming to town. Chant Hare Krishna." And I swear, this really happened. My husband, his name was Garrett at the time, he said, we were very confused. Did I add that? Very confused. We felt lost. I was doing yoga. I was doing my own self-styled, no teacher yoga from a little book that I got, a little meditation book. But there were no yoga studios back then either. If there were, they might be one up in New York, but it was a different world. Let me just tell you, it was a different world in 1967. Anyway, we read this paper that said the Swami is coming to town, and Gary said, because we were so confused, we were so lost, we had no idea what we were doing. He said, well, when this Swami gets here, we'll go see him and we'll do whatever he says to do. I swear, he really did say that. I mean, he really did say that. So basically, that's really what happened. That's really the truth of what happened. I happened to go to, after my meditation, I was doing like 8-hour trance meditation every day because it gave me some relief from the material world. Brahmananda, pranayam, breathing exercises, sitting in the forest type meditation. So I was doing that every day. And one day, shortly after seeing that flyer, went to the little books. There was a head shop there, the hippie shop. It's a place where there were all these books, like about be here forever, stay high forever. I don't know, just like hippie stuff, But there were some good things. There was a Tibetan Book of the Dead. There were different things. Esoteric bookstore, essentially, is what it was. And so I went there, and it was really interesting because I walked in and there's so much flashy stuff, colorful stuff, dream catchers fluttering and psychedelic bright stuff. But for some reason I was led to this little card table with these indescript little magazines that, with no colorful cover, just a little concentric circles with a little tiny figure in the middle. In other words, non-flashy, totally benign little magazines. And I picked one up, and it was like, "Who is crazy?" It was an article written by Prabhupada, but I didn't know that. And so I picked it up, and I started reading it, and it sounded like Buddhism. Samsara, suffering, karma. I had been reading a little Buddhism. I had been reading different stuff, And so I picked that one up, and I thought, that's interesting. Yeah, sounds like Buddhism. Sounds real, We were already had become vegetarian. We we're trying to follow ahimsa according to the yoga system. Not Buddhism so much, more the yoga system. In any case, we weren't eating meat. Okay. So then I picked up the other one. And the other one described a Swami that was written by Hayagriva. And it was written by a different author. And it described his meeting a Swami on the street corner in New York. And it was a very beautiful description. He said how he looked like he was a genie that had popped out of a lamp with white pointy-toed shoes, you know, those Vrindavan shoes, you know, the plastic ones. And his smile was like moonlight in the early morning smog in New York City. And he carried a prayer beads, and Hayagriva had just gone to India. It reminded him of hillsides and cows and temple bells. And it was like a very poetic description of Srila Prabhupada, who I didn't know at all. But all of a sudden, I had a divine experience. It was like that. The window opened, and for a few seconds, I saw everything. I saw him. And he was beckoning to me. And so, I mean, I don't even know what happened. It's not even within my vocabulary to explain it, other than I was standing in this bookstore holding this magazine to my chest with tears streaming down my face, saying, I found him at last, I found him. That's how real it was for me. So the next step was I bought the magazine, looked at the address. The address was only a few blocks away, went over there and said, where's this Swami? I want to meet him. And I was able to meet him the next day. He had just gotten there. He had gotten there like maybe the day before or the day before that. Just arrived. It was before the famous rock concert. I'm sure you've heard of that, haven't you? The mantra rock concert. Well, my first service was putting up those flyers on telephone poles. They had printed these flyers. That was my very first service. And so the next morning, we boarded a bus. It was about 15 blocks up the hill from where we lived to go to see the Swami. And it was, we had no idea what we were going to say. We had no idea what we were going to do. We just went there, and it was a wonderful experience. It changed our life completely. My husband-to-be, Govinda, he was draftable age and left school. And at that time in America, as you were pointing out, it was like the 60s, all the young men were being sucked into the military for this stupid war. And so he was in anxiety, a lot of anxiety. So that was the thing. He had left school, so that means his number could be called any day. And there was draft card burnings, and people were being arrested, and yeah, it was the same kind of stuff going on right now over in Ukraine. Well, maybe that's worse. But anyway, what happened was that we talked, he asked us questions about our lives. He was studying us. We were kind of like the guinea pigs, you might say. He asked things like, do you know how to drive? Yeah. And then he asked me, you know how to drive? Yeah, I had a car since I was 16, sure, why not? You know how to swim? Yeah. You know how to swim? Yeah. I got taught swimming at 12 years old, you know? So he was studying us, the culture, so to speak, in order to see how to best spread Krishna consciousness in the West, because he was fresh from India, really. He had been in New York, but it was a very limited environment compared to San Francisco. So he listened to all of our fever of anxieties, especially my husband's. He was really in anxiety at the time. And And he asked me about some things. I told him I had traveled to Europe, because I traveled to Europe when I was 18, when the wall was up in Berlin. I went to Austria, went to Berlin, went to the east side, traveled all over Europe, alone, searching. And he said, "Oh, you're so young, but you've traveled so much," because I looked like I was 12 or something. "You're so young, but you've traveled so much." And I said, "Yes, Swamiji, but none of it has made me happy." And then he got this beautiful smile and he said, "Ah, yes, that is required." In other words, to realize that you've had it all, you've done it all, you've been there, done that, and none of it has made you happy. That's a really good prerequisite for Krishna consciousness. So then after all, listening to all this, finally he came to his conclusion like a Supreme Court judge. He said, "You come to my classes every morning and evening, and all problems will be solved." And we believed him. We believed him. He was so convincing, so certain of everything he said. That conviction is what makes a good preacher, because a person can feel that conviction. It took me years to realize that, by the way, but just to tip you off, it's that conviction, that certainty and confidence that enables you to convince others. And Prabhupada could convince everyone, Of course, there has to be a certain amount of sukriti. But he used to say, "My Guru Maharaj has sent you all to help me." And I kind of see it like we were like drop-ins or something, stork flying over, "Oh, there's a good home over there. Drop one in here, drop one in there." Because most of us are nothing like our family members. Most of us are like the black sheep. They still haven't figured us out, have they, Akilya Prabhu? We're like different from the rest of the pack. And so, of our families, is what I mean. This is our family, really. This is our family. But we didn't know that when we were growing up, and our family sure wondered what planet we came from. So anyway, that's how it all started, and it hasn't ended yet. It's to be continued on a day-to-day, year-to-year basis, and it's Krishna consciousness. And it's inconceivable to me, because when I first came, there was just like maybe 12 or 15 young people, that's all. Even in New York, there was only about 12. In Frisco, there was maybe less than 12, maybe only like 7 or 8. And half of them were smoking pot, cigarettes, or whatever else they were smoking, Seriously, there was really no indication at that time that this is going to be a worldwide movement. The only indication that we had, or that I observed, is that Srila Prabhupada had a globe beside his an atlas globe. You know what that is? Everybody know what that is? And it was beside, I don't know how he got it, but somebody must have given it to him. It was in his little New York apartment, that tiny little apartment that is about the size of that room over there, that little niche. And he would turn this globe every day and look at the countries, like he was familiarizing himself with, okay, here I am on planet Earth now. And so he would say things like, Brahmananda, you shall go to Russia. Gorsaner, you shall go to Japan. Rai Rama, you shall go to England. Like this, he was planning a worldwide takeover. But we were just children. We had no clue, no idea that this was going to happen. That's why I still get flabbergasted, I still get like, wow, I can't believe it, It's so amazing, if you think about it, that he came with, $7 in rupees, and you can't spend rupees in America, so that's essentially nothing. Stayed with people he didn't even know, and then he had a very difficult year that first year, But Krishna had his plan, and he fulfilled it. He had his mission, and he fulfilled it. So we're all the beneficiaries. We're the beneficiaries. We're the ones that get to, and our children, and the children of our children, and the future generations. They're the ones that, I mean, it makes me really happy when I see like Govinda Dev and Amrita Gopi, youngsters that are being able to grow up in a situation like this, because I didn't grow up in a situation like this. You know, it wasn't that difficult, but it wasn't physically difficult. It was difficult emotionally and mentally, because if you don't know the truth and you search for it, it can depress you very badly. It can make you despair, because there's no way you can fight it on your own. That's why people now are so much more fortunate, because they can get a book in practically any language out there now. I mean, you got books in Croatian and books in Italian and books, you know. We didn't have any of this. None of these. I forgot to mention that I was never a book distributor because there weren't any books. There was only a trunk full of books that Prabhupada brought with him on the boat on Jaladutta, and those were the 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, and there was also Easy Journey to Other Planets, a little skinny book. That was all there was. So, in that first couple of years, he laid the foundation for a worldwide mission. We transcribed his books. He would speak in the dictaphone. In the early morning, he would speak Srimad Bhagavatam. Satrup would do those. He would speak Chaitanya Charitamrita. I would type those. He would speak Nectar Devotion. I would transcribe that one. And like this, the books were all being put together, you know. And by 1969, late 68, early 69, we had the first Gita, which was the little lavender Gita. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's the first one Macmillan printed. And that's when things really started to take off, was 69. And at that time, we had been with him for 2 years, except for the time he was in India. And he sent us to Hawaii to open temples. And we started a whole new adventure there. And then he came and stayed with us for a month. We had a house in Hawaii. And he spent a month with us. And then we proceeded to open up the islands. And he flew off to the mainland. And that's whenever 69 things started. It's like a lotus that was like this tight, you know. It was a bud. And then it started to open. By 70, 71, it was in full bloom. But I was there when it was still a bud. Well, I was there when it became a bloom too, but what I mean is it was... So that's kind of my story. If anybody has any questions, I'm hard of hearing. Oh, there's no way I can hear you from way back there.
I have a microphone, don't worry.
Okay, maybe I can. I'll turn up my hearing aids.
May I? Sie hat mich ausgesucht.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. How was it when Srila Prabhupada was at your place in Hawaii for 1 month? Can you tell something?
You have to say that more slowly. Your accent is a little hard for me.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
When
How is it that Srila Prabhupada...
When Srila Prabhupada was at your place in Hawaii, can you tell something about this?
Oh, about his coming to Hawaii? Yeah,
when he was there at your place with you.
He came to Hawaii and stayed with us for a month. He came to Hawaii many, many, many times later. But at that time, he stayed with us a month. And that was right after we got there. And we didn't have anything going. But the funny thing about it was that wherever Prabhupada stepped, whatever city he went to, it was like suddenly it seemed like magic happened. All of a sudden, things just started to mushroom. People came, buildings were gotten. It was, I mean, it's just uncanny, really. I mean, how can you have two kids, 21 years old, with no credit rating, go to Hawaii with nothing, and less than a year later buy a house near the university? It just doesn't happen in the real world, but it happened. And it happened with Shivananda. Shivananda also, he lived with us in Montreal. He came to Germany. He was, I think, the first one in Germany, I believe, him and Krishna Das. Those were all my friends, Shivananda and Krishna Das. Those were my buddies back from Frisco. Well, Shivananda from Montreal. Shivananda used to be our model. He used to model for us he modeled for Lord Nishingadev, as a matter of fact, because we were artists doing the cover for Back to Godheads. He modeled for Narada Muni. He modeled for Lord Nishingadev. He's a great model then. And anyway, we were like a family. That's what was so beautiful about the very early stages of the movement, is we were so much like a family. There was no weird political trips. There was no weird abuse of women or children. There was none of this stuff even existed. It was just like we were happy in Daddy's home, and Daddy was Srila Prabhupada. That's what it was like. And I think we should strive to get that mood back. Because if we get it back, Prabhupada will be happy, Lord Nishingadev will be happy, and all the people will be happy. More people will come, because so many times people feel not cared for, not wanted, or not loved. And that's what Prabhupada made us feel. He made us feel loved and wanted. He inspired us. He cared for us genuinely. Each disciple, he cared for each and every one. Even that disciple was just a brand new person who didn't know anything, which I was. I was brand new. I didn't know anything, you know. And so Prabhupada came to Hawaii. There was nothing really going in Hawaii. We went on beach walks every day. He took a walk every day in Hawaii, and he worked on his books. And we had a couple of programs. We had one program where I've taken beautiful color photos. You must have seen them at some point of him in Hawaii, sitting underneath a palm tree, playing a harmonica with the ocean in the background, or sitting underneath a plumeria tree, getting massage. I don't know if you've ever seen these pictures, but they're pretty common on the internet. I mean, Facebook has done us a great service. I know people hate it, and I don't care too much for Mr. Zuckerberg, but I have to say that Facebook has really helped devotees spread photographs, and, well, unfortunately they do bad stuff too. But anyway, Prabhupada gave one program there at the North Shore, where he was sitting underneath a palm tree chanting, and on that day we had a couple of devotees come who totally did. One of them was Kaushalya, who was later in India, later in Gujarat, leading kirtans in Gujarat, and we had a number of devotees come at that time, and then he went back to the mainland, and we continued to try to spread Krishna consciousness in Hawaii. And the way we did it, we just went to every concert and every festival. The Hare Krishnas were at every concert and every festival. I mean, Jimi Hendrix, I didn't even know who the guy was. But we got really lucky that night, because we went and chanted in front of this Waikiki Shell, this huge outdoor auditorium. And the guy didn't show up. Hendrix didn't show up for his own concert. I don't know, he had a drug problem or something. But we chanted, and everybody was there wanting to do something fun. And so we had hundreds of people chanting Hare Krishna. There were so many people chanting Hare Krishna, the police had to escort us into the grassy area, the park area, because we were blocking traffic, you know. So we chanted at every festival and I think it's really important. I'm going to put this plug in there. that you understand how important Harinam is, because it's the only thing that's going to save the world from the Rakshasa takeover that's happening right now, that's happening in America and Ukraine and everywhere in the world right now. They're making a big push for taking over this planet, the Rakshasas. And Harinama is the only weapon that's going to work in this age. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Sitapati, but Sitapati is a young 39-year-old New Zealander devotee, Gurukuli. You know about Sitapati. 21-day kirtan in front of the Parliament building. Thousands of people chanting. The protests in New Zealand, because they locked them down for over a year or something. And there are all the vaccine mandates and all this insanity. Don't take these poisons into your body. These things are poison. So, you know, he led all this, and they distributed many books, and they even set up a kitchen, an outdoor kitchen, and people were donating food, and turned the whole thing into a party. And there would have been likely violence, because it was like a really tense situation, and even the police thanked them afterwards for the Hare Krishnas. For the Hare Krishnas keeping things from turning into violence. And of course, we have our own ideas about how many people chanting. I mean, the police may not understand the benefit the souls are getting, but we do. And so anytime there's a protest, anytime there's a concert, whatever's out there that's a bunch of people gathering, as far as possible, we need to be out there chanting Hare Krishna. Even if it's 3 or 4 people, because it's important. It's important. It's the only powerful, it's the astra for this age. Astra is weapon. And it's important that we realize this, because unfortunately some of our leaders in America did not realize this, and in New Zealand. And I'm hoping that more and more of them will come to realize it, because the world, as Prabhupada predicted all of this that's going on. I don't know how much you know about Prabhupada's predictions, but it says in the Bhagavatam that the Acharya is Trikalagyan. That means he can see past, present, and future. We can't do that. We're like this far ahead. But the Acharya, can see that. And he used to talk to me in 1967 about things that were just bizarre. I mean, America, for example, was very, very, very rich in 1968. I don't know what Europe was. Europe had suffered a war. I don't know if they had recovered or not. I really don't know, because I had come in 64. Things were pretty bad. There was a Berlin Wall. Things were really bad in Berlin at that time. But America was fine. And yet he would tell me things like, there will be no food in your cities. Your cities will have no food. The pet dogs will run in packs because they'll be hungry and they'll attack and eat the people. I mean, a 20-year-old kid doesn't forget stuff like that. But the problem is we didn't have tape recorders yet. We had tape recorders, but not much. Just we didn't have the money for the tapes. I got a big U-Her, a big German U-Her, in 68. But there's like a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, when things weren't recorded. Not much was recorded. Later, Srila Prabhupada would open his mouth and there'd be a tape recorder going. You know that, right? And that's good. I'm glad we have that. But at the early times, we didn't have that. And so what happened, a lot of the things that he said didn't get recorded. But nobody believes that. They believe only what's on the database. Fine. So I did my research on the database, and I found plenty of information. Maybe not as much as what I know about, but quite a lot. Like, very soon, civilization will collapse all over the world. It will collapse. You bring this ism or that ism, it will collapse. That is a recorded statement, folks. And it's happening. It's happening now. And he also said there was one godbrother named Mahabhuti. They were taking a walk above Atlanta. That's a city. Atlanta is a city in America, in Georgia. And Prabhupada pointed his cane at the city and said, "You see that city over there?" Because they were walking in the hills. And my godbrother said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, that's Atlanta." And Prabhupada said, "That city will be gone. The people will have to flee due to the looting and the rioting and the violence." And Mahabodhi said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, I've read about that later on in Kali Yuga. These things will happen," or something like that. He said. Then Prabhupada said, "No, within your lifetime." And by the way, he's still alive. Okay, he's still alive. So I just talked to him not too long ago. Anyway, so what we have to realize is that the big takedown that the karmis are all confused about, and they don't know what to do, the economic collapse, all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, and I don't know how much you know, because I don't know how many of you have gone down the rabbit holes that I've gone down. I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes, but on the internet. And you don't know what to believe either, because half of it is lies. But one thing we can definitely believe, we can believe Prabhupada. If he predicted something, we're going to believe it. We're going to be sure of it. And he did say that the most important thing was to get farm communities and to get ready, get self-sufficient. That was the remedy that he gave us. And unfortunately, it has not been very well applied in the United States. It seems to be much, much better here, because you've got Hungary, you've got Simulachan, you've got probably a lot more farms, I think, in Europe than America, but I don't know. I just got here, but it looks that way. But you should focus on trying to become self-sufficient. At the same time, do kirtan, do harinam, at any protest, any festival. I don't care whether they tell you to do it or not do it, just do it, because it's very important. It's important for saving the situation. I mean, that's our weapon. And Prabhupada made that so clear, how important it was to go out on the street and chant Hare Krishna. It's all but stopped in America. I mean, there's hardly any Harinam at all. But yet, the way we spread Krishna consciousness when we were youngsters, probably you too, Akilya, I don't know where you were, but in America, we did 8 hours a day. We did like 4 hours during the day in the area where the shops were, the malls and stuff like that. And then we did another 4 hours in Waikiki, where all the tourists were. And that was true of Los Angeles, it was true of every city. And now, it's not true of every city. Now it's like, okay, once a week, or maybe once a week, maybe not even once a week, maybe not at all. And then during the so-called pandemic, scamdemic, whatever you want to call it, they shut down all the churches, they shut down all the temples, especially the blue states in America. And my best friend runs the Honolulu temple, and she could only have 5 people in the temple at once. They had to wear these ridiculous face covers. And otherwise she'd be fined $5,000. So she had to go along with it. The government. So we have to keep chanting. We have to do the best we can. The good news is the Rakshasas aren't going to win. I can tell you for sure they're not going to win. Other plans, anybody knows their plans here? I don't know if you know about their plans, about their hacking humans and all that. Anybody know about all that stuff or not? You're just nice, innocent devotees here, huh? That's good. You don't know about Davos. You don't know about the big plans to try to kill all the people. You know anything about this stuff? No? How nice. Your mind is not nearly as jaded as mine then. But I feel that I had to go down the rabbit holes because I needed to know what was going on. And we need to know, in Ishopanishad, it talks about the knowledge of ignorance as well. You have to know both. You have to know what's going on in the world of ignorance as well as the world of knowledge. So for that reason, I feel that it's good to know enough, just enough. If you're very, very sheltered like you are here, I guess you don't have to worry too much about it. You just chant Hare Krishna, and you've got Lord Nrsingadev here to protect you. I mean, you're in the best place in the universe with Lord Nrsingadev protecting you. It's like Raksho Bhuvana. I like that. Does he shoot fire sometime too?
Excuse me, I just
Huh? Are you able to hear okay? Oh, I'm sorry. So does he blow fire sometime too? So are there any questions? I mean, I'm sorry this is so impromptu, but I just got here and everything. Okay, but I can't hear you way over there. Why don't you just come a little closer?
Okay. Like I keep remembering, whenever I remember your name, I remember the story once Prabhupada told you on the beach about.
Start over.
Okay, the story on the beach from Prabhupada about instinct.
Oh yeah, okay.
Could you please retell that one?
Which one? There were two.
I think it was the sea crabs that were crawling back, and Prabhupada asked you, "Do you know why they are crawling back before the tide before the high tide comes?" And then he said, "Instinct doesn't really actually exist."
Yes. That was in Hawaii. That was a later visit to Hawaii, and that was a very profound experience for me. Because I had already been a devotee a couple of years, and you think you know it all by that time, right? And so actually, I really learned something that day because he started talking about how he easily reads your mind, by the way. I mean, it's like you're naked completely. Your head is, it's hard to get used to. But anyway, he was saying that why do the sand crabs, how do they know to do certain things? The scientists say it's due to instinct. But why do the birds, for example, the birds you can throw grain out and there won't be a bird anywhere around. But by golly, the birds are there in about 10 minutes. And that's because the super soul guides them. There's food there. And so he explained to me that this word instinct is a word made up by the Darwinists, the material scientists, to cover really cover up for their ignorance, but to try to preach atheism. But actually, that the soul, when it's born into a body, it remembers, there's some memory that the little baby nudges for the breast. Prabhupada said, any little animal, a little puppy or a little cat, they kind of, their eyes are still closed, but they by past experience and by super soul, they reach for food. He was explaining all this, and for the first time it dawned on me that I had been taught Darwinism from the time I was a kid in school, because that's part of the atheistic takeover, is to teach. And this word instinct, he said there's no such word in Sanskrit. That word is something they've made up. It doesn't mean a thing if you stop and think about it. Instinct doesn't mean anything. It's a word that they're saying that there's some primeval instinct in you that knows to eat or whatever, And so for the first time it dawned on me that I had been duped by Darwinism, so to speak. And he really pounded that in that day. It was, we were staying in, it was a couple of years later. It wasn't the first trip to Hawaii. It was one later on when he installed the deities and gave a bunch of initiations and stuff. And I was staying with him at the seashore, and we were walking every day on the beach. And it was kind of a powerful experience for me, because I'm really not that much of a scientist or philosopher type person. I didn't ever even believe in science, quite frankly, which is probably saves you a lot of time not believing in science, because you don't have to unlearn a bunch of stuff. But that day I realized how much I had been misled by the Rakshasa culture has taken over education. Now it's pretty obvious, isn't it? But at that time in history, it wasn't quite so obvious. Now it's glaringly obvious. But that's what he was explaining, that really there's super soul in the heart, and the living entity has had many, many bodies and many, many lifetimes. And so he has some memory, and the super soul is there to guide him. Where is food? Where is water? Because Krishna stays with us. He stays in our heart. Even if we're in a pig's body or an animal body or a human body, he stays with us. And that's the most beautiful part, how merciful he is, that he stays with us, no matter what. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. You mentioned about the urgency to establish farms, or that Prabhupada said that farms are the place that we should have, so that we, once the current civilization collapses, that we have a place to accommodate people, welcome people, or sustain ourselves. And sometimes when we put this, the question is, how urgent is it?
It's very urgent right now.
Yeah, so
I expect the dollar to collapse within the next month. In fact, I want to convert whatever dollars I have, a few dollars with me, to silver. I was just writing one of my friends. They've already, when the dollar goes down, the euro is going to go down. Maybe not immediately, but that's what's going on. And when they collapse the currency, the way it works, every currency has a lifetime. Remember how after World War II it took a whole wheelbarrow of Dutch marks to buy a loaf of bread? Everybody's seen those pictures, haven't they? Haven't you? Hasn't everybody seen the pictures of people pushing the... Okay, that's what's coming. Only it'll be dollars this time. I don't know how fast... I don't know how connected the euro is, but it's pretty connected. So, in my humble opinion, based on the things that Prabhupada told me, which was, he used to say how your paper money, your green dollar bills, they will have no more value than toilet paper. In 1968, he was telling me this. And it was still tied to the gold standard until 71. 71, Nixon removed it from the gold standard, and it became nothing but paper that you could print. And because of the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II, the US dollar became the world currency. And that means people think the US dollar is as good as gold. But after 71, it wasn't, but people hadn't realized it yet. Now they're starting to realize it. Now, different countries are starting to take, you must know about all this stuff. It's like what's happening in the world. It matters. This is the kind of ignorance that you need to know about so that you know what to do. And I don't know how fast it'll go down. It's already going down in America really fast. I just saw that now for the first time today. For the first time today, the normal news channels, and I didn't go to one of those. I always go to the alternatives, but I found out from that way, are finally saying that Ukraine can't beat Russia, and the Russian army really isn't falling apart. In other words, they're starting to tell the truth. But they've used all these, they're collapsing the whole thing, And so I think it's very important to have crops The most important thing, I mean, Prabhupada foresaw all of this. That's, first of all, you have to understand he foresaw everything. And he knew what to tell us to do. He called it the fanking. Did you any of you ever read these statements? Prabhupada called it fanking. That's his word for the banking system. Fanking, like fake bank, you know. And he said, your fanking system will be finished in 50 years. That was in 1973. Guess what? It's 2023 right now. Give or take a few years, maybe. You know, things don't happen all at once in the same place. They move around a little bit. However, he used to say that real money is gold and silver. And real wealth is grains and cows and land. That's real wealth. That's what Nanda Maharaj had. And that's what we should have, is grains, cows, land, and if you have anything extra after that, silver, and then if you have anything extra after that, gold. But how many people know this? Well, actually, there are some people that know this. But how many devotees know it? So it's wonderful that you have you're producing, it looks like you're producing a lot of your food here. Are you? Is it? That's wonderful. Do you produce grains too?
Vegetables we produce in the summer almost everything, and grains we have a devotee in North Germany who's producing.
What?
In near Leipzig, we have a devotee who produces
yes,
a lot of
I
grain.
had some of the pancakes made of those grains. Best pancakes I've ever had in my life. The little Russian lady made some of these little pancakes from those fresh ground grains. Yeah, I heard about that. How many acres does he have?
He's 16 acres. No, Robert. 300.
Okay, acre or hectare? What do you go by here?
Hectares.
And I just found out, because my friend called me from, one of my godbrothers called me from Hong Kong yesterday. He's putting together, he was asking me about this place, how many hectares they have. He told me there's 2.5 hectares. No, which way is it? There's 2.5 acres to a hectare? 2.5. So that means there's 40 acres here.
Here we have 16.
16 hectares.
17 hectares, yeah.
So how many acres?
40. 40 acres.
40 acres. That's a pretty good, yeah. I have 160 acres that my mother left me in America, but I'm just not so sure America's going to survive. But anyway, that's good. How many acres does this devotee have near Leipzig?
No, it must be 1,200.
1,200 acres of land? How many hectares?
No, it's 300 hectares, which means it's 750 acres.
750 acres, sorry.
Well, that's still really a lot. 750 acres is a good amount. And he's definitely, has he got it in a trust? How's it set up?
No, he's an independent devotee.
Huh?
It's his father's farm.
It's his father's farm, but does his father have the paperwork set up to it to go to him?
Yeah, it belongs to him. He's running it now.
Yeah, because, it's important to set up trusts and all that stuff, to make sure that it doesn't, I mean, I don't know. It's going to take a lot of, Lord Nrsingadev is going to take a lot of protection, because these evil monsters that are trying to take over the world right now, they're trying to destroy farms. You know what they're doing in Holland, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to take away the farms from the farmers. I don't know how far they'll get. I think we really have to depend on him. Because I admit I get worried for the devotee. I mean, I'm going to be here, 2 or 3 more years? I'm on the way out. I've already got my reservations. But I think about all the young people, the devotees, the young kids coming in, and that's what we have to think about. We need to think about that, how to make sure that the devotees have a place to come. Because, a lot of them, they won't leave the cities. A lot in America. Anyway, what can you do? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? It's kind of, you reach that point. I have a German godbrother named Padma Garba. He grew up post-war Germany. Do you know Padma? He grew up in post-war Germany, meaning he's older than me. And he saw it all. His mother had to crawl for a mile under gunfire to get potatoes from a field. He saw Germans being 62 kgs, he said. He's a prepper. He said they had no shoes after the war. And they had to work in the fields with burlap bags on their feet, and their feet would bleed. He's got 500 pairs of shoes. I'm not kidding. He's got 500 pairs of shoes. And he's got an oxen, he's got land, he's like got enough food stored for at least 5 families for 5 years. He's a full-scale prepper in America. But he's German, because he saw post-war Germany. So we don't want that to happen to our devotees. We want to make sure they're protected. And that's a big responsibility on your shoulders. But I know you can do it, because you know who is. You got some support here. The Raksho Bhuvana, the universal protector. You know that name for him, don't you? Raksho Bhuvana? He's the universal protector of all the Vaishnavas. So anyway, any more questions?
Oh, yes. Actually, kind of challenge. You put out the urgency of doing Harinam Sankirtan, but so many devotees, they are mostly doing book distribution Sankirtan.
Well, book distribution is good too, but you need to keep the holy names going because of the fact that it keeps the sound vibration. When you chant Hare Krishna, Prabhupada explained that it never quits. It keeps going around the globe. And it's a powerful, very powerful vibration, and that's why the demons shut down temples and shut down churches, because they don't want that. It weakens them. It's like kryptonite for Superman or something. And you didn't grow up in America, so you know what that means. But you know? Okay. It's like it weakens the demons. So that's why they don't want people to come together and sing God's names. But you must do that also, not just book distribution, even if it's 3 or 4 people chanting, because that vibration keeps going. And like where I am at home, I don't have 3 or 4 people to go on Harinam either. So I just turn my boombox real loud with Prabhupada chanting, and I get the same effect. So you need, there's more than one way to do it. But ideally, we should have the holy name going. And I know you do. You're chanting here every day. But a lot of places don't have Harinam at all in America. I don't know what you're saying. And also, a lot of people don't read. I don't know if it's true in Germany. It's true in America that a lot of people don't read that much anymore. It may be changing because some people are telling me that the book distribution in America is even getting better because people are confused. They don't quite know. They know something's wrong, and they know things aren't exactly, there seems to be something wrong, but they don't know what it is. Unless they go down the rabbit holes and go into the alternative medias, which a lot of people are waking up to, but there's a lot of people that aren't. So that's why book distribution is improving, because they're questioning things. And they're going to be really questioning things even more whenever things get... when the economic collapse happens, that's when things are going to get rough. And that's really close. I don't know how... I think it'll happen this year. Before I left America... the people in the economics were saying that by late July there would be federal, what do you call that, digital thing would be introduced. And it was. The Fed now was introduced. And now I don't know what's going on, but they're trying to do it in such a way that the people don't know what's going on until it's too late. That's what governments do. That's what Rakshasas do, isn't it? So just be, do you have sufficient store of grains? Sufficient store of food? As much extra money as you have, put it into food, put it into crops, seeds. Seeds are very important. And put it into, you got to do books too. I mean, we have a lot we have to do. Is that okay?
Thank you, yeah.
I mean, did I answer your question is what I'm asking? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, right. Thank you.
You guys are a lot more knowledgeable here than, sometimes you tell some people about these things and they just look at you like you came from, Mars or something.
I wanted to ask for the generation that is more into science and who is more into their job is more related to. I wanted to ask for the population who has their jobs more related to science and who are more related to, who have that as a bigger part in their life. How do you separate that versus the beliefs and, Krishna, and just how you separate the two? The spirituality versus science.
I don't quite understand your question. How do I separate?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned earlier that we were introduced to Darwinism and it was basically we were duped by him, and it was just the whole belief, it was wrong in a way. And there are people who have science as a big part of their life. It's a main part of their job, and how they it's also their belief because they have, since they were young, grown up. And I'm also in a field where I encounter it all part of my day, basically, my 24/7. And so how do you separate that versus, spirituality and Krishna and my belief in, Sanatan Dharma? How do I differentiate between the two?
Well, it would depend on what you mean by science. What do you mean by science? I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, like medicine or science, biology, and just...
You have to first of all realize that those fields have pretty much been taken over by the Rakshasas. You can't deny that. How can you? The whole thing, everything they teach is... We teach there's a soul, and the soul comes into the womb and creates a body. They say that there is no soul. It's all a combination of elements, a combination of chemicals. And that's atheistic philosophy. How can you combine the two? Well, you can't. One is atheistic and one isn't. And so I don't quite understand what you mean by, medicine. Well, so far as medicine, a lot of the so-called medicine now has been taken over by the Rakshasas. There's proof of this. This is not something we're making up. In America, we know what happened. They wiped out, at one time, it was all natural herbal medicine. At the time of Abraham Lincoln, for example, Washington, the old guys. And then about 100 years ago or so, it was the Rothschilds, they took over all the medical universities, got rid of all the herbalists, and started their whole campaign of allopathic medicine. And made a lot of money. They made a lot of money in the last couple of years, killed a lot of people too. So you can't deny that this exists. I don't know how you could combine them, really. I don't know. Although I'm sure there are. Einstein wasn't an atheist. He was a scientist. He was the greatest scientist. But he wasn't an atheist. He was amazed at the cosmos. He didn't have Bhagavad Gita on his hands or anything, but he had an appreciation. So I suppose you could approach science from a theistic point of view, although right now what's going on in the world isn't easy to do that. I'd be more specific. I don't know what you mean by medicine.
I mean, my main question, I guess, was how you can both believe and have the high faith and spirituality and follow on the path of Sanatana Dharma while also, having a job in the materialistic world. And, because if it's something that interests you, then how you can lead that life along with the spirituality, mala, japa, and everything, the whole rituals, how you can keep that up with, and the beliefs with the Bhagavad Gita and everything.
Well, I guess it's how you approach it. If you approach it from a theistic point of view, but it would be a little hard to have a job as an abortion assistant or something. That's very scientific, It wouldn't really go along with, or a nurse giving vaccines to kill people. Now, that's another really good one right now. That would not be a very, supports your spiritual life very well, or maybe, there are a lot of really, medicine has some virtues. We're all really glad that people learned how to do cataract surgery. There's some wonderful things like that help people to see. Cataract surgery they do in India, like they have these eye camps where all these people come and they're able to see again. It's a beautiful use of science, absolutely beautiful. They have them at Barshana, they have them in Radhakund, like that. So you can't really just say, it's really like it's too broad a field to just say science. You can use science it's like a knife. You can use it to cut vegetables, or you can use it to cut your skin. So it's the same thing. You don't want to be in a job that's harming others. And then, if you're not, you can be in a job with science helping others. So I don't know what your job is, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, you have to ask yourself if whether or not the science that I'm using is helping others or harming. And I think that would be really how you would have to have, and a lot of people really want to help others, and that's good. Doctors want to help others. Some doctors they sincerely want to help others, and there are many devotee doctors. So I don't really know how to answer your question sufficiently.
I think I got my answer. Thank you.
Did that help any?
Yes, it did.
I'm not the smartest kid on the block, So, any other questions? I guess everybody knows everything now, so that's good. I'm glad.
We're looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I wish I could come and see him more, but it's so hard to get the steps, with my hip like it is. Hey, you should put a railing on those steps there. You really, railings don't cost much money. And, those steps are dangerous. If somebody fell down them, they could sue you or something. A railing, and one of those wooden railings, I could do it myself. You give me a screw gun, But you guys know how to do that stuff better, right? Did you?
I asked some devotees to put some stone slabs there to half fill the gap. They didn't do it.
What?
Ach so. Oh yeah.
I'm talking about those back stairs there. Those are actually easier for me to navigate than those out there. But it's scary because it's a long way down if you fall. But a rail, it should be, I mean, it should be required, actually, because...
We just renovated all the hallways, that's what we're...
Oh, so you took the rail down or something?
to go back in, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to that rail being up. If I can help in any way, let me know. I can do that. Okay, I guess that's it, huh? Chant Hare Krishna. Worship Lord Nrsimhadev. Do we get another Arctic? We do, don't we?
No.
Did I miss the Arctic?
The Arctic is at 6:30.
It's 8:30.
We don't have the Shayana, the last one.
Oh,
We have Mangal Arctic, Shringa Darshan, Rajaboga, and then Sandhya Arctic.
okay. So I should have come earlier. Well, I'm trying to make some arrangements, so I was online. And then I had to rest. Today was really hot today.
Yeah.
I like hot better than cold, you know. But don't you have fans here? It's not ever hot enough for fans. Amazing. Okay. Yeah.
We can organize one.
There is a fan, you can use it, it's used in Tulsi room. There's a fan, yeah, we do have.
We can organize a fan.
Well, you know, this place is so wonderful. I was telling one of my friends, geez, I would just like to live here. But then I remembered that it gets very cold. Very cold in the winter. And I can't handle cold. You know, cold doesn't work for me. It's colder here than other parts of Germany, they said.
Yeah.
So when does it start so I know when to leave?
December.
Really? Well, what about September, October, November?
October, November it's rainy, and then December is ice.
Wow.
Snow. January, February, especially.
So December, January, February. But September, when does it actually start to shift in Europe?
End of September. Yeah.
End of September? I guess I don't have long here. I've go to Sweden. Does Sweden get cold faster?
Yeah.
It's north. Yeah, there's a festival in Sweden, Prabhupada festival. All the disciples that were there when Prabhupada came in '73, and I wasn't one of them, but I figure I better go see some God brothers while they're still alive. Huh? Smita Krishna Swami. I don't know. I'm from the generation that knew Brahmananda, Jayapataka. I'm from that generation. Jayapataka, we were really good friends. He used to be my babysitter for Prabhupada. You know, I'd come in every day. I don't know all the New York guys at all. I know the ones that are from the old days, you know, from my generation. But Smita Krishna will be there?
Yes, he's living there.
Well, who is the leader here?
He's the temple, Govinda is temple president.
No, but don't you have a GBC or something?
Yeah, Krishna
Of course.
Dina Sharana Mataji.
I see.
Currently Dina Sharana Mataji, and now Krishna Marupa Prabhu is taking over.
Krishna Prema.
Yeah, from Swiss.
Yeah, from Zurich. I met him, yeah. He brought my books for me. So, but who is who makes the decisions on things at Simulachan?
In all of Germany?
Oh.
Not at the farm?
Huh.
We have a temple board.
Oh, you have a temple board. I see. Okay. I just was curious how it was run. Okay, well, I guess he goes to bed now then, huh? Has he had his hot milk?
Yes.
Hot milk is very good. It subdues anger. But he doesn't look angry at all. He looks just warm and friendly. He's not he's not like the one in Mayapur at all. The Nrsimha in Mayapur. He's got a snake today. I should have come earlier, so the Arctic's at 6:30. I had to rest. Thank you so much for the wonderful mango ice cream. I really enjoyed it. I heard that you made the mango ice cream. Yeah, we all sat around and enjoyed mango ice cream today. It was so hot, you know.
It's also nice. There's also carob.
Also what?
Carob ice cream for tomorrow.
Oh, really? I'm interested. Carob ice cream?
And peach.
Peach and carob mixed together? Can you get one of peach and one of carob, one for each hand?
Yeah. Carob is better.
Well, I hate to say it, but I hope they'll be able to get me in a car by the time I leave here because I'll be so fat. Well, I guess I'm not leaving as long as he's here. When they close the curtains, then I'll leave. I'm not leaving. I'm sorry. I'm just not. So I'm just going to enjoy looking at his teeth.
He's just waiting for you.
He's so beautiful. He's just so beautiful. So strong. Now that I've seen him, I can put my head on his shoulder mentally. That's probably pretty sahaja, but what can I say? But I also, one realization came to me today, which I thought, no wonder I like blonde hair so much. Because he has a flaming, beautiful golden mane. Does he sometimes wear a mane?
Yeah.
Do you have an outfit some days where he has like a golden mane?
Yeah, silver mane.
Silver?
Yeah.
But it's golden, isn't it?
It's a silver plated mane.
No, I'm talking about golden threads. You have an outfit like that?
It's an idea for the future. Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Oh, I think that would be beautiful. Don't you? Golden, some kind of shiny, very shiny. You could make make a whole mane. I think you'd like that, really.
There's one backdrop that is almost like a sun. But it's a backdrop.
I didn't.
There's a backdrop, looks like the sun.
Oh, really? That is so beautiful. You're so fortunate to have him. He's too big for me to steal. But I heard that you guys make some. I saw one in Zurich at my friend's house, and I want one.
Yeah, we'll give you one.
Well, can I? Do you have them here?
Yeah.
Oh, they're beautiful. And posters. I've been still, I wrote, I wrote years ago trying to get a poster, and then I thought, well, they probably don't understand English, so I wrote Atmavidya, my godbrother, who did the layout for my book. He did the color, the pictures, and the layout. I said, could you please write them and ask them in German? And he also wrote, but I still couldn't get a picture. I guess he wanted me to come.
I sent you some photos, and I gave you the advice to send it to an online photo developer.
I don't think I received those. Maybe you sent them to an email that didn't get there to me, but I'll still take them.
In Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. Oh, they have terrible resolution.
Now you will get.
Something's better than nothing, but still, if I can get a better one, Do you have posters now?
Yeah. Govinda yes.
I mean, this Nrsingadev needs to be everywhere. He needs to be everywhere. Maybe you should market the posters all over the world.
In the manor, there's a photo of Messina on the altar.
In where?
In the manor, Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Oh, well, that's good. They'll need it.
On
Definitely.
the altar.
And what about your other temples in Europe?
In Munich, yes. That's on the altar, of course. Yeah.
I have a painting that I would like to give you. It's of a dream that I had of Srila Prabhupada after he left. It's called the Acharya Dream, the World Acharya Dream. And I had them, giclée, you know what a giclée is?
Sorry, no.
A giclée.
The mic is, could you use the mic again? Please?
Oh, a giclée is a print on canvas. And so I had some made in China. And I would really like to, give one to the temple here and they can frame it. It's about this big. I would like to give it, it's a picture of Prabhupada, of a dream that I had after he left. And he's sitting on the curvature of the earth planet. And people from every culture and every nationality are pointing and looking at him. And then some of his disciples down below. And he's sitting and the demigods are dropping flowers on him. And he's underneath his sitting place in jewels. In the dream I didn't see it at first because it was such a sparkly thing. It zoomed in and the word ISKCON. And he's sitting on that throne to do his work, which is, of course, writing his books, printing his books, leading the, and I'd like to donate one to the temple. I donated one to the temple someplace else here in Europe. I donated different temples because I had quite a few of them made in China. I have just a few with me, so I'd like to give you one. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you for all these wonderful devotees. This sweet little gopi that's helping me. I really appreciate it so much. And try not to overfeed me because the prasadam is too good. It's really wonderful. I've never had charred lasagna before. It's delicious. It's really amazing. I had it yesterday. It's charred, but without the noodles. So it's really nice. Hare Krishna. Good night.
This channel is